Well, hello, welcome to the Teresa Lusk Show. And I can't wait for you to hear what my next guest is going to just enrich your life with. I have the amazing Bernice
Oh,
Loman with
thank
Loman Creative
you.
Services. Welcome on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Teresa. It's such a always a great opportunity to connect with you and just be engaged into your show. So it's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Today we have a treat for our viewers. One of the things that we know about the Teresa Lusk Show is that we're going to cover faith, family,
Yes,
business, and politics, or a mix of them all, or one at a time. And Bernice, one of the things that we've been doing here lately is just educating and inspiring. That's one of my
I
greatest
love it.
goals. I want to educate and inspire people because, especially if we're going to talk about faith, that means that a lot of what we do comes from a faith-based perspective. And
Yes,
I want to talk to those who have doubts in their mind about
yes.
the use of AI, artificial
Hmm.
intelligence. And so today we're going to get our guests really impacted with information and about
Yes.
the positives, the fears, and all of that. So you're here to talk to us about that. Is that correct?
Yes, I am. I'm excited about the topic. So yeah, let's
Good.
dive into it. And let me
All
thank you.
right.
Thank you for the opportunity. And hello everyone who's watching here. Let's dive into it. I'm
Yes,
ready.
let's do it. All right. And
Yeah.
for those who are watching or going to watch, I want you to comment. And if you have any questions, please post them on here because
Yeah.
Bernice is going to answer these questions for you. She's going to come back. She's going to answer these questions for you. And
Yes.
she's probably going to her phone right now so she can
I
share this
am.
on
You
several
see?
pages. And
I'm
go
like,
ahead
hold on.
because you know what? I am the same way. I'm like, I promise I'm not being rude. I just want to share a good show here. I
Yeah.
want to share some things with people. And so we're going to have a great, honest talk. That's another thing. I like to keep
Yes.
stuff real. Otherwise, what's
Yes.
the point of talking to you if I'm just going to be not legit and real on stuff that matters? So okay,
Absolutely.
so first of all, just a little bit of what I know, and then Bernice can fill you guys in. But first of all, she is a visionary, and her passion lies in the intersection of faith, marketing, and technology, where she empowers
Yes.
business owners and she coaches them, and she takes a faith-based approach. Although I'm sure that it's not required, right? There are some people who are not from the
Yes.
faith-based community. It's not
Correct.
required, but you know what? If but that's a lot of where your perspective comes from. And
Yes.
so, Bernice,
Faith
here's
is
what
my
I know.
value. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
Listen, I met Bernice because, as many of you know, I'm a minister, and I was out at an event in Savannah, Georgia, and she did our media, and it was fabulous. You did a
Thank
beautiful
you.
job. In fact, I don't even remember what year it was, but I can tell you this: I still use a lot of those images.
Thank
Do you remember
you.
what year that was?
I don't. I if I can
Okay.
guess maybe 2022, maybe 20
Okay. It was
between 2021 and 2022.
Okay, it was a while back. So, anyway, so what we're going to talk about today is AI, artificial intelligence. Now, Bernice, let me go through some information here from the Barna Group.
Sure.
Okay. And
Sure.
the Barna Group says that Christians are more reserved about AI in general. They said most people are still getting acquainted with AI. Only around 1 in 10 US adults say they use AI often, whether personally or for work. Okay, now we are mostly talking about Christians who have these reservations, by the way.
Yes.
Generally, people also hold mixed feelings about AI, ranging from outright distrust
Yes.
and some of them say they're curious and fascinated about it. However, only about 28% of Christians say they are hopeful that AI can do positive things in the world. Let's talk about this because the church
Yes.
gets very, very apprehensive about anything new that has to do with technology. Where does that come from?
I would like to say I have the answer exactly where it comes from, because I think it's just a numerous of things. Fear for one, fear of change. I'm not saying I'm super old, but I've been around a couple years and I've been in ministry for some years, and I have seen where when it comes to adapting to new things, you have the church, the faith based faith-based community that seem to be fearful of change and as it relates to technology. So if I was to like kind of hone in into it, I definitely would say just fear of change, fear of the unknown. You mentioned a little bit about that. I can agree to that. I can see, and just hearing conversations, a little bit about my, background. I help leaders, faith-based organizations as well as those in business sectors. I help them with the onboarding process with technology, whether it's learning virtual reality, learning computer skills, learning how to adapt with the internet, social media management, video content creation. So helping them, kind of like that hold hand, helping them with the knowledge and the insight, but not only that, but giving them that hands-on and that experience of why they need it and helping them to with the onboarding process. So with that being said, I've had some experience and hands-on experience with those in the faith-based community just by doing that type of work and hearing the conversations, hearing the pushback on it, even post-pandemic. Before the pandemic, I've witnessed, churches that were saying, or pastors, faith-based leaders that were saying, I don't know if I need to get online. I don't know if I need to adapt to this culture of the internet or even have a social media page. So I've had those conversations. So I've heard those talks and those feedbacks. So I would have to say definitely fear of unknown, fear of change. And it varies because you can't say it's the fear of unknown for a lot because there's some that are well informed. Like the information is right there. They're the workshops, they're the webinars. They have the much information available to them. You have the internet, you have these search engine that you can search and see the information. So it's not almost the fear of the unknown for all, but majority is definitely just fear of change, fear of doing something different that they have not done before.
One of the things that I've noticed is besides the fear, it's that they won't. It was like Facebook. I don't know if you remember, but with Facebook, a lot of people were on it pretty quickly. And then after a bit, like once they kept hearing from their next friend and their next friend, hey, I'm on Facebook, all of a sudden they've got a Facebook account. And so I think some of it too is learning it from other people. I personally use AI, and I will talk about my experiences with it, and I'm sure you will too, and the creepiness of it and the good things about it, just like the internet. So we'll talk about that later, but definitely, as I tell people about it, well, they need an answer for something. And I'll say, well, have you tried, I use ChatGPT or whatever, and I'm not promoting them. I'm just saying that's what I use. And they're like, what is that? So I start explaining it. So I'm learning that some of it is just hearing that somebody who they trust is actually using it. Would you agree with that? Yeah.
I would agree with that. Yes. I would say and not just, and I pause a little bit because I think that works for pretty much anything. People tend to gravitate to testimonials. That's why testimonials are so powerful with anything, business, ministry. If you hear someone who they know about anything, not just, with AI, but I think that philosophy works with pretty much anything. They're known to gravitate towards something or someone that they know. So yes, I would definitely say yes. Yeah.
There's a quote in Barna as well. It says, technology is here to serve us and not the other way around. There's all this fear that AI is going to be taking over the world. It's going to be human versus machine. But if we step back and look at it, then there are things that AI is really good for. Okay. And this was Kenny Jang, the founder of AIforchurchleaders.com. Okay. So again, we're dealing with the fear of it. So I think, as you're talking and you're an expert in, setting up people for their businesses using technology, et cetera. We have to move to a place where we understand that this isn't something to fear. If that's the case, then they should turn off their internet, correct?
Correct. 100%.
Am I the only one saying it out loud?
Listen, it was like a breath of fresh air right there. Like, yes. And, I wrote recently, I wrote a post about a social media post about if you think AI is the devil, literally turn off your phone, because you have series, you have all of
Yes.
these you have all of these applications that we've been using, GPS, all of these
Yes.
devices that we've been using for some time. And if you're in business, I'm sure you have gotten to the place of automation or even been curious about it. That's AI.
Yes.
And so, I my my thought completely is literally turn off everything, because you'll be surprised at what you've been using over the years is generated by AI.
Right. Well, but I suppose that
Yeah.
being coming from you, and for those who are watching right now, we are tuned in with Bernice Loman of Loman Creative Services. She's a powerhouse. She's a technology
Thank you. Thank
powerhouse.
you.
She can help you with your website, with videos, media production, like so many different
Thank you.
things. This
Thank you.
woman she's got just a diverse selection of things that she can help you with. But really, we're here to teach you about AI. And she
Yes.
didn't know my views on AI, by the way. Before she came on, she
No.
didn't know my views. She didn't know. I just said, let's talk about business. She said, all right, how about AI? Perfect, in business. And we're going to talk about the positives. But right now, we really
Yes.
got to take down
Yes.
the misconceptions about this, because AI can be very, very helpful for you. And so stay tuned in. We're going to bring some more very informative solutions for your life so that you can start using it in business. But I'm going to say
Yes.
two things. One, because you are such a technology driven person, I suspect that sometimes people just assume that's Bernice. She's going to go with that because
Yes.
that's the world she's in. But like I said, she didn't know that this was what I use it every
No.
single day. Matter of fact, on my computer, there's always a Chat GPT window open because I use it
Yes.
constantly. But I want to say, Melinda Thornton, she says, keep shining, Bernice. How sweet of her.
Thanks, Melinda. Yes. Thank you.
For those of you who are watching, feel free to comment, and we want to be encouraging. If you have questions, please post them on here. I can see them on my end. Okay. So then you are relieved that somebody else other than you is saying, yes,
Yes. Yeah, I
okay.
am. I am. But I even if even if you were against it, I'm still comfortable with your views. I respect others' reviews, and
Thank
this
you.
is why, you know, when you mentioned the angle you were coming with first, that's fine. I'm okay with it. It's just I stand where I stand, and I'm going to share why I believe this, and especially for people of faith, because I believe God has allowed me to serve those in the faith as well. And it can be challenging because we do have a group that tends to have a pushback, more conservative when it comes, or more reserved when it comes to change and technology. But I'm here. So however we were
Mhm.
going and flowing, it's okay. I
That's
stand
great.
behind technology. I believe that is here. I believe that technology, yes, it may, when giving into the wrong hands and people, it can have a negative effect, but it can also have a positive effect, just as
Right.
any other thing. Social media,
Mhm.
with the wrong person, it can become scam or
Mhm.
spam. And
Mhm.
on one end, we are right now sharing and encouraging and giving insight on AI and how you can use it for your business or your ministry. Hey, it's how you use it.
Well, and I think that as a church, when I say a church, I mean like the church body, the body of
Yes,
believers. I
yes,
think that
absolutely.
if we don't get up and start making use of these things, it is a disservice to the church, because,
It
the
is.
scripture that I went back to think about was the wealth of the wicked is laid out for the just. It's
Mhm.
laid out, but we have to make an effort to some degree to reach into that, and what I mean by that is even some of those resources, because
Yes.
the non-churched people, they are quick. Do you know why they're listen, if the wealth of the wicked is laid out for the just, then why aren't there more more believers with wealth. And I don't care if anybody,
Yes.
I don't apologize for that stance either. But my point is, this is one of those wealth ideas. Would you agree?
I definitely agree with you 100%. One I have to say is that I believe that a lot of us as a body of Christ are not just in position. We are not, and again, just to shine a little light on what you just said, I believe that we tend to be more reserved when it comes, and I'm saying we as the body as a whole.
Correct.
I think we tend to not be present enough in the marketplace.
Yes.
We are, and we shared a little bit about this offline, y'all, we was talking about, just ministry and how God uses us beyond the four walls and, even just in the marketplace. And a lot of us need to learn our place also in the marketplace and what God wants to do through us here. And I believe that's why you don't see many of us with the wealth transfer is because we're not here. We're not in the marketplace enough. Right. We are tending to just be within the four walls. And in the four walls, yes, you can use technology, but many times we aren't using, that's why we're here having this conversation right now. Yes. We are not using technology to its full potential. Right. And right. Let me say this is what I noticed also is that we as the body do not understand how to collaborate with leaders that are in those spaces, those AI analysts, those software developers. I did a live on this recently, and I was talking about how even when it comes to church, having church innovative pastors and ministers, those who are innovative, that's a whole entire another conversation that needs to be had. There are roles that aren't being filled. There are creative roles that aren't being filled. And these creatives have the AI knowledge, have the creative and the innovation knowledge. And that goes back to just the roles that need to be filled and having those collaborations. So yes, it's deeper than just
you just gonna take me to preach. Listen, this ain't church, but church is about to happen. Okay, so here's the deal. Okay, so what you're saying is leading me to some other deeper thought.
Yes.
And we're not trying to miss the part of the AI in business because we're going to talk about that. But what really has to happen is that there has to be some ground broken. And so that means that we have to deal with the lies that sometimes we believe, the misinformation we believe about something. And one of the things that Bernice is talking about when she's talking about even the pastors, even the leaders within their church walls. And by the way, we don't just talk about church people within or without the walls. Okay.
Yes.
At the end of the day, one of the things that people desire a lot, and I know this from years in ministry, is they all desire to know what their purpose is. And can I tell you that so many people miss that the purposes are appointed in time. And that means that if in 2024, there's a release of AI, people say the devil released that. My goodness, do you know that it would take the mind of God to be able to come up with AI? Can I just say that? Can I tell you that it would take the mind of God to come up with the internet? Even if an unbeliever did it, everything evil God will turn into good, and there's been good that's been used for it.
Absolutely.
So we've got to start tapping into, okay, this is not just a resource. This might actually be a purpose that's going to develop in me as I tap into those things, to those resources, technology-based resources. Yes.
In fact, I find that when there is new technology, I see that I'm immediately thinking of how this can be used for the church. Like instantly, like even now that like I'm recording this with the doing spatial video. Okay. I have spatial 3D video here. Right. So I'm going to take some of the clip right here of the spatial, which is a 3D, and those who have an Apple Vision Pro to see this from a 3D perspective. Right. So from a spatial angle, when I think of that, immediately when Apple created their Apple Vision product, I was thinking, how can the church use this spatial device? How can they bring more a spatial view to hone in more on ministry and the message of God from this? Like, I immediately think of technology, but how it can be used. And as we're talking about business now, let's move over here to business now. Business, think of this. If you're a business owner, right? Think of when technology comes, how can you use this device to help you with e-commerce? How can you use any technology? We're talking about AI, GPT, whatever. How can you use this to help you expand with business? How can you utilize any of this AI to help you? Like, I'll give you an example. One of my clients was struggling with content to put on her website. Now, before AI, I'm literally just trying to help and assist, or, they will come up with the information, and there will be a span of time trying to wait for them to give me content for their website. AI, I don't have to. I'm looking and helping with the clients like, hey, here's some information that can help with website copy. So, think of it. Everyone who's watching, you're in business or your ministry, wherever sector you're in, how can you use it for the betterment of what you're doing, to multiply 100%. What you're doing?
Yes, 100%. So let's bring some examples of how we use it in real life. So I'll give you some examples of how I use it, and you can give some examples of how you use it. But like I said, I use ChatGPT, and let me just say this. Some of the stuff that I've watched in preparation for our interview, there's a lot of, and I'm just going to say this before I move on to my next thought. There are a lot of people who are concerned that because it can have a very human-like response, and this is what makes it creepy to people, it really does have a human-like response. In fact, there's reels out there that pretend that you're the master of this AI, because it doesn't always obey you. Like, there's some crazy things about it. So a lot of things that the church is concerned about, and I've seen these videos, is that it would replace human connection because of its human-like form. But here's the thing: if you apply that concept, we have to apply that to everything, because you can use the internet to go and watch stuff you're not supposed to be watching, listen to stuff you're not supposed to be listening to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's just say that at the end of the day, this is wisdom that you use with anything. I can get on the internet and do dark things, or I can get on there and do good. All right. So here's the other thing. I use it, Bernice, to a lot of times to write the captions for our guests coming up. The thing you do have to be careful with is plagiarism, though. That is a big deal. You do have to be very careful with plagiarism. I'm working on my doctorate, and let me tell you, they don't play around with that plagiarism stuff. And plagiarism is taking credit for so you can take the information and rewrite it if it's very plagiarism sensitive, like a paper that I would have to write. I would not can't do that, but I can get ideas from it, and then I can rewrite something or help me trigger some words. I use it to understand subjects. Like, if there's something that I don't understand in my studying for my doctorate or whatever, I'll ask the question. It'll download it in step by step by step. Okay. For all kinds of stuff. You even said web content. I've done it. So what are some things that you use it for, and that you see other business owners use it for?
So to prepare even for this interview, I wanted to, when you shared I gave you the topic, and then what I wanted to do between the topic and even now, I wanted to see how there were moments where there were innovations where Christians had a pushback. They were more against the innovation. So I wanted to get more information of that. And I found through ChatGPT that there were numerous occasions where there were innovations like radio, television, internet, social media. ChatGPT gave me those outlines, and it was like head on, point on, and that prepared me also for this interview. I've used it for website copy, social media copy, postings. I used it to even train my models to create models. I create GPTs as well. In fact, speaking of faith and technology and AI, I have a pastor's GPT that I created. And within this GPT, for pastors who may struggle with some of the context or biblical context with their postings or their sermons, you can use my sermon chat GPT. It is its own GPT, but it's for those sermons, those who are creating their sermons. And it has back information like research for those who need to know about Matthew more in depth with Matthew 1:1, or John 2:5. It gives more of a research and more of a biblical context with
background.
more of the biblical background. But not only that, but I also have it trained to create a social media post along with it as well. So I've used it for numerous of things.
Now I will say I'm not with the whole making it write your sermon thing. Like there, I'm like, that's where we put the stop to it. Like,
so let me say this.
Yeah.
All right. So I won't recommend that with your whole entire sermon. That's not something that I totally recommend, but I believe that it can help guide you on some things that you were kind of skeptical about, and you want to make sure that, okay, let's just say, go back to Matthew's 1:1. You may want more of a background context that can help you with some of the wording. And even say you're a pastor and you're creating some content for your sermon and you want to have a PowerPoint presentation on that. It can help guide you on, okay, you just studied this. I do agree with you studying, by the way. Make sure, yes, you still need that guidance with the Holy Spirit. It does not I wouldn't say it will replace the Holy Spirit, but it can guide you. And I have a video on it too to help kind of explain exactly what it is. But I would say, it can help you with some of your presentations. Yes, I agree. I agree that, yes, it cannot take the place of the Holy Spirit, but it can also help you, though, when you're studying, to help you with more of content,
right.
more of context,
and I
more
agree
of
with
creation,
that part,
content creation part. Yeah.
Right.
So,
yes. And I'm in agreement with that part. Like, as far as, well, let me, because I am very particular. I mean, and this is good because this is where Bernice and I, this is where we are good with agreeing to disagree. I am going to tell you, I am good with research. I have used it for research, cultural context. Like, I will ask it, what was the cultural context of this, and what was happening? Who else was ruling during this? What other prophet? That stuff I'm good with. I don't think, give me the 10, points to my. That's where I draw the line, and I'm like, absolutely not. But I will use it for all research. I'm okay with even uploading my sermon. I haven't done this, but uploading and saying, okay, give me 10 posts out of my own sermon. I wrote it by the inspiration of Holy Spirit. So I wrote it. So it's going to pull. I'm okay with that. It's telling it to write my sermon for me. Yes. That part is where I want to make sure that people understand. Teresa Lusk does not use it for those purposes. But other content development portions that are not taking the place of the inspiration of the Lord, that's
Love it. I love it. Love it.
Okay, so business. Let's get back to business. So give us an example of what right now there's a lot of people who are running a business or are thinking about running a business. Can you give us a real life application of how we can use it in the now?
I shared a little bit before about how I use it, and I would recommend for an average business to also use AI, even if it's creating content for you, your social media postings, your website copy. If you let's just say you want to tell a story, AI can generate your can generate your image for you, just to share and tell a story. AI can be your video editors. Let's just say if you want to just cut up some of your video, AI can create the content for you. Totally content, video, whether it be video, photos. AI can create your headshot. I had a client that couldn't get to me and couldn't get to the other photographer in the area. She says, "Hey, I need a quick headshot." Use AI to create her headshot. This lady is using this headshot for her newest book. I mean, you could do so much with AI. I helped a lady who had a book. She had recently wrote her book, but I told her AI can also help your book, the book that you've already written, and turn it to workbooks. This lady just published her workbook just by AI. So it's content that you've used, but hey, you can also use it to expand what you're doing. It's so, I can go on and on. It's so much that you can use AI for. That I help, clients with. Even now, you're in business. Think of something that you've already done before that you may want to just expand. As simple as just writing a book. Maybe you've written books and wanted to, expand with what you've already do. Take, like you said about the sermon. Okay, it was Holy Spirit led. You have your sermon written, and you want it to go more in depth with maybe presentation or give you more outlines of what you've created. Guess what? Those who've written books, those who have your presentation. I mean, it's so much. Like the other day, I did a video. It was a live stream. I took the live stream that we did, some of the replay, loaded into AI. AI did a summary, a podcast summary, and I took that podcast audio, loaded up to all my podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, etc. And I mean, it's so much that you can do with AI.
Wow.
I use it on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I love the idea about the workbook, because, I have books that, I don't feel like cracking open and writing a workbook on. Again, though, I only warn about the plagiarism, because I actually did a video not too long ago on my church live stream about being cautious with being ethical, because a lot of times, listen, AI it'll make you feel like you are very, very smart. You know what I'm saying?
So here's the thing, right? All right. So you're saying plagiarism, but there's a way that you can also train your AI to speak as you. So it won't take any wording from it will only generate based on your personality. And then there's another app. There's an app called Quill. So if those who don't know, there's an app called Quill AI. And what that can also do is let's say you take some content from AI and you drop it in, and it will rephrase everything that you put in there. There's tons of other apps as well. But there's so many other applications that you can use for those who are cautious about plagiarism. But I think with so many AI and technology tools out there, plagiarism it shouldn't be a concern at this moment. It's so many rephrase AI tools. You can train your AI model. It's so much. Again, it's so many technology tools out there that plagiarism shouldn't be a concern at this moment.
So, and I think that's going to be a preference issue, though, Bernice, if we're honest, right? Because this is a place where I would feel more conviction on, because that's just how I do things. Like, I'm not going to do certain things. AI does make it so amazing, and you're right. You can train it, because I've told it before. I don't write like this. Write it the way I would say it, right? But there's things that I won't do as well, because it is a conviction for me. But that's the same thing with the internet. There's things that you would go look up that I'm not touching, and maybe vice versa.
Right. So
it's one of those things that we do have to be aware of, that I personally don't want you to write something and say you wrote it if AI wrote it, right? But there's some things that I'm like, I don't care. So like for my social media, the captions for this show, I don't care. Okay, because it's an announcement. I don't have time to sit there and be super creative on how to make my guests seem amazing. They are amazing, but I don't have time to write every one of those things. So guess what? I'm going with AI. But if it was a book, me personally, I'm not going to let it write for me. Like, I may throw it in there and say, fix my grammar issues, fix my spelling issues, et cetera, right? And so I think
Yes.
it's going to be definitely a preference thing, and we just have to be very aware of that. And you know what? I'm very glad we're
Yeah.
dealing with these things, because guess what? These are the issues that a lot of people have,
Yes.
and they
Yes.
wrestle with them without having, this platform right here. We don't agree with everything, but that's okay. You've got
Yes.
two perspectives, and you get to choose which way you're going to go.
And I'm glad you said preference, right? So, but there are people that have preference that have a negative reply or outcome to someone who their preference is, hey, I'll write a book with AI. Let's do it, or I can, or write a sermon, or have more of the AI create that content for me. And then again, you say you have preference. So I believe that we can respectfully disagree. That's your preference, and that does not mean that that person is wrong, but they may have, that's your preference, and the other person, they have a preference to do it that way. But I believe, like you said, it's the internet. You have people that will use internet a certain way because it's based on their preference, and then you have the other individual that, again, on the vice versa, they're not going to use the internet or social media like that because it's their preference. So I'm glad you said that. That's the key word, preference. Yeah.
Yes,
And
yeah.
yes.
Of course, I reserve the sermon part there, right there. That one, I'm like, I have holy conviction on that one. That one I can't call a preference. That one, I'm sticking to that one,
Yes.
Bernice.
Yes.
I
I love
love
it.
this.
I
What
love it.
else do you want to teach us on AI? Because I think there's other things that we don't know. Even myself, even though I use it, I promise you, I'm barely scratching the surface with it.
Yeah. It's a lot that AI can do. And when it comes to anything text form, content, as far as images, videos, if you think of anything that you would need from a content standpoint, there's a AI application for that, or software that can do it. Again, it still comes to the preference, and it still comes to, like you said, your convictions, or do I want to use this, or even can I think too, another thing is the miss of not knowing that this can be used for this. I'm gonna give an example. So I recently was talking to another client, and they were trying to create a web show, and I told them, like, what you were doing as well, like you just said, you created the captions and the details, and I explained that to them, that's how they can use AI for that. They don't have to think of, I have to do this, I have to create this show, but I have to create the title, I have to create the details. No, you can also create the interview questions as well. I used this recently also, AI with, I did a show. It was a live with a couple of gentlemen, and we were talking about the silence of the church when it comes to youth. And so I ask AI to give me some introduction questions that can start the conversation. Just that simple. And what it allowed me to do is just have a formal introduction, but then I'm impromptu. Okay. So that's my
Right.
preference, is
Right.
impromptu. I
Yes, me
can
too.
glean from a person. It's my introduction. I use AI, but then after that, we're having a conversation. I immediately
Yes.
thought of something else. Like, okay, I piggyback on people very well. So I'm okay with impromptu. I use it, AI, just sometimes for the introduction, but then I'm moving. Even with writing, even with social media postings, I can use it as a guideline. But even with training of my models, I can think of something different at that time, and I'm going to add something else, that how I feel at that moment, that emotion at that
Yes.
moment. So even if it's a LOL, like I may feel something funny today, and then so AI may not know what happened today here at my office. So I'm going to have it to start as an introduction, but then I bring in my personality, my human ability. Again, let me say this: AI is artificial. Okay, artificial intelligence. it's not something that's just created on its own. It takes a human to operate
Right.
it.
Yes, I was going to
We
say that
are
next. Yeah.
needed. Yeah, we are needed. Okay, so when I say about AI, it's us working together, us putting that information. It's called commands, creating those commands for AI. AI is not automatically when you wake up, it's going to just say, hey, Bernice, hey, Teresa,
Yes.
and give you
Yeah.
all this content, right?
Yeah.
It is artificial. You as a human, those who are watching here, you as a human, you are needed. Your human intellect is still needed. You are operating still on a human level that this AI cannot. It helps along with what you're doing when you work together, but it does not, and I say this, it does not replace you. I
That's
can
right.
say maybe some years, it may in some capacity, it has replaced many jobs from now
Yes.
and now,
Right.
even now. So yes, it has this ability, but at this moment, it cannot replace us 100%. It
Yes. Yeah.
requires a human command. Even learning us, it still requires us to command, give it the command of who we are, our personality, what words we like to use, how many posters would you like it to create, what type of copy or website copy would you are giving that AI model that command.
Yes.
So if I was to say anything to wrap this up, just to understand that AI is artificial, but
Yes.
it can still with human involvement and human participation, giving it the command. It's a beautiful marriage. If we
Yes.
agree that, it's something that we both can work along and know its limitation too. Sometimes you may want that human that human side or human intellect about something or their content or the context of it, and it will require just you, but knowing that limitation, and allow it to just work along with you. Once you learn that, I mean, it's really amazing. I've done tons of great things with AI, and I can hear that you've done some amazing things with AI, and I've know tons of people who've used it over time, and it's really amazing once you use it and know your limitation, know its limitation, know what boundaries you want to set with it, and just work along with it. It's really beautiful.
Also, it's also useful for, in my opinion,
Yes.
researching other things. So when you research
Yes.
something on the internet, it gives you a million options. When you
Yes.
use AI, it only brings up what you're looking for the most part. So it has made the world of research so much better. So I really enjoy that part of it. And
Can
we
I
just want to,
share?
yeah.
Can I share what I learned through the AI doing research for this interview with
Sure,
the
go ahead.
Christians? So I've asked it to give me examples of inventions that initially cause reservations among Christians and faith communities. And one of the concerns, it was the telephone. All right, so let's think of history, and
Wow.
it gave the telephone. There were some skepticism about how it might disrupt face-to-face fellowship and personal connections. It says over the time, the telephone became a vital tool for ministries, and churches started using it for prayer chains, pastoral care, and spreading urgent messages within the community. But before, there was some skepticism about it, being that it would disrupt the face-to-face fellowship. The radio. Some Christians feared the airways would become dominated by immoral content. The internet was initially seen as a dangerous space for young people and family. Social media, some Christians feared it would replace authentic and in-person fellowships and leave interactions. Television, some Christian communities banned television outright in their homes for fear of its influence. So as we can see of literally all the medium of innovation, there has been a history over the years of the Christian faith community that is
Yeah.
going against the innovation. This is a history thing.
Sure. I think the important part is to understand that anything that can be produced, and I think it goes back to this, and as we close, this is what I really want to focus on. At the end of
Yes.
the day, anything that is useful in this manner, the
Yes.
only place that it could have been developed through was through the mind of God. Really. That is
Yes.
the truth.
Yes.
Nothing else
I
could,
agree.
nothing else. Whatever the creators of it do with it, that's another
Yes.
story. Whatever you decide to do with it, that's another story.
Yes.
In God, there's no darkness at all. So whatever we do
Yes.
with any kind of technology, if it's evil, it came out of humanity, not out of God. And so we just want to
Yes.
encourage those of you who are, we're not trying to say you need to start using it, but we're saying if you've had reservations about it, if you have reservations about it, hey, like I said, I have very strong convictions about certain things. I will not cross the line on them. And
Yes.
and if that's your conviction, the word says if it makes you feel convicted, it would be a
Yes.
sin to you. Then don't do it.
Yes.
You can't do it.
Yes.
Um, but if you're just like, I don't know about this, whatever, we just gave you some deferring views. Hers and mine aren't
Yes.
necessarily aligned with every single thing, but we can both tell you we use it for professional
Yes.
reasons and even for some spiritual reasons. When it comes, for me, it's
Yes.
research only, but we use it. And so we just
Yes.
encourage you to do that. Let's close this up. Ms. Bernice, go ahead and tell us one last thing that you want to encourage our viewers with, who are right there going, okay, let me try it. How about this? Let me ask you this question. Let me rephrase it. How about, what are some, like I use Chat GPT, and that's all I know because that's where I got stuck, because it works for me and I don't have time to research more. So are
Yes.
there some specific places, apps? What do we use?
I would encourage those to go to my website, and I would encourage them to schedule a consultation with me, because I actually have AI trainings. I also have AI literature. Like, you can schedule with me. I can help you and guide you on exactly what you're doing and the different applications that it can help you with exactly what you're doing. Because what I find is, when we have tons of options, which sometimes is great, we don't know how to apply it to a specific thing that we're using it for. So again, I have meetings with clients and I share with them, like, okay, well, what you're doing, I believe this can help you with this. I think you can use this for this. How are you doing this? I believe this application or software can help you with this. So I would definitely, if I was to leave with anything, I would love to help those who are skeptical, even those who you're using AI and you want to advance even more. Maybe you want to take your AI knowledge to another level. Everyone, I would encourage you, just go to my website, lomancreativeservices.com. I would love to help you schedule consultation so that we can definitely connect. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how I would close it. Just go to my website. There's ways that you can connect.
Sure.
Even for those who don't want to schedule a consultation or can't at the moment, I would definitely just recommend go to the website and follow me on social media as well, because I share tips. I share AI tips. I share all types of tips. I've been talking about spatial computing and talking about virtual reality, AR, AI, all of those technology tools that are out right now. So just follow me and yeah, let's learn.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. There you
Yes.
have it, my friends. Those of you who are watching, go to lomancreativeservices.com. You can find out more. And then for those of you who are like,
Yes.
I'm not going to be able to make that investment right now, I
Yes.
use Chat GPT, nothing fancy. Like I said, I
Yes.
don't have time to be using other fancy stuff right this minute. But if you're
Okay.
really trying to grow your
Yes.
business and go to a different level for what I need it for, this is what's working for me right now. But
Yes.
there's people who are like, you know what, I really need to make a more in-depth investment, which I'm all for investing in your business. Like, you have to.
Yes.
There's no way to grow without
Yes.
it.
Yes. Correct.
And so some of you are whatever, you're maxed out. I don't know. I just know this, that
Yes.
Loman Creative Services has helped me quite a bit, and so
Thank
I
you.
can tell you that her work it's legit and it's professional. So I encourage you to go visit. And we thank you so much for joining in, and we're so
Yeah.
excited that you were able to join in with two women who we both love business. We both love ministry. We love
Yes,
Jesus. That's for
yes,
sure.
yes,
And
yes.
we love to see people empowered. So thank you so much for joining in. Once again, what is your social media handle, Bernice?
Loman CS. Loman
There you
CS
go.
for real business, real life business, in person business, and Loman CS VR for virtual reality business.
All right. So make sure you go and follow and sign up and see how she can help you today. My friends, thank you so much. It was great
Thank you.
having you on today, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank
God
you.
bless. Thank you, Bernie.